Hello, Instagram. I decided to do my new moon musing in my panties, my large granny panties, just to get your attention so you listen to the new moon wisdom sharing. I also painted on my eyebrows today because I learned that my eyebrows have important messages to share with the world. I'm not going to let you see my hairy vagina because it's going to distract you too much. But yes, new moon musings. Aries new moon, eclipse. I was meant to do a full kind of 15-minute transmission. Didn't get to it because was in the throes of my own shitty storm. Had many hot baths to soothe the nervous system, a lot of urgency, a lot of wanting to do things, anxiety, but perpetual procrastination and inability to move forward. So interesting to have eyebrows. I colored them in. The reason being I went for a kinesiology session and it was so revealing. She's also a shamanic witch, of course. And she said to me, your face tells a story, and the distance between your eye and your eyebrow tells people and the world a story about you. And my eyebrows communicated to her through my muscle testing that they were not being honored. They weren't being respected. And what that sort of meant on a deeper level is that I actually need distance between people and myself, especially new people. However, I've prided myself on the identity of such an open, caring, and empathetic person, and just allowed many strangers to come into my personal space and feed off of the love that I just naturally felt obliged to share my whole life. Anyway, my eyebrows were very upset with me. This is literally what she was telling me. And it made total sense because this whole eclipse for me has been about boundaries, about the self. Aries is the self. I feel like this is not even. Aries is the self. Everybody's got a massive problem when you decide to take care of yourself. They think you're selfish or narcissistic or self-indulgent. But oftentimes, until you get really fucking selfish, you're just a servant and totally out of integrity with yourself. People-pleasing and appeasing and doing things that you think you need to do because they, I don't know, are what either your parents, society, or the culture, or your own self-importance told you is what's going to get love to you. But if it's not authentic, and if it's not in the truth of what your appearance, soul, manifestation is meant to be and do in the world, you're going to run into trouble. You're going to feel depleted. You're going to get into situations in friendships, relationships, where you keep feeling like you're the bad person or resentful because you did things that you didn't really want to do. So yeah, major fucking release this eclipse. Lots of burning, lots of having to communicate to people that the reason I'm not a good friend or the reason I haven't been reciprocating is because it's actually not where I truly want to feed my energy. And coming into a quiet understanding that it's okay to disappoint people and to move on from people and to need time with self. I literally took on the sport of freediving because I had to put my head underwater to get away from the noise and the expectations I decided to place on myself on how I need to behave in the earth realm. And this may not make sense to everyone, but it may to some. And it's been so healing to go underwater and be with myself and find peace. It's literally an opportunity for me to find inner peace, and I'm so grateful. So that's some find the tools and the physical form that you can use to get to connection with yourself, because that's what this time is all about. Aries wants you to understand who you are and what you are led by, so that the Libra, which is on the other side, the connection, the community, the relationships that you're in are authentic, are in alignment, are honest. If we can't be honest with those, if we can't be honest with ourselves, we can never be honest with those we relate to. So, as I've said before, really a time of, returning back to self in order to move forward in love, in order to move forward in what we're doing in the world, in our work, it's kind of like, there was a beautiful dinner party I was at last night, and this man was sharing about his rebellion that's currently taking place, where he had to almost get so beaten down by his bosses or his parents, or just this experience of following rules and doing the right thing, till the point where it was so debilitating that there was this need to rebel, get a tattoo, get earrings, quit the job. And sometimes we have to do that, have this massive explosion of fuck off, get the fuck away from me. There's so much rage for all the times you didn't say no, and it can literally burst out of you like a screaming fit, and can be quite destructive and harmful to yourself and others. Or you can slow down, do a practice, meditation, swimming, diving, dancing, anything that kind of gets you back into your center, so that you can reorient and discern, hey, where am I kind of stepping out of my true north? Where am I again merging into somebody or something that's actually not authentic to my path? And it's a really curious time to express vocally your needs and your wants, and just be kind of forthright and honest about them. Courage to be on your path, to really, really commit to your path, and to have courage to do that is rare in a world of codependence and dependence on external sources. We've been conditioned from child in school to look to authority for rules and for affirmation and for guidance, and it has its place. And also there's a major awakening to our sovereignty, to our internal authority, and that's the rumbling of the structures. And I did a video about health, and how health, physical pains in the body, physical aches, symptoms of dis-ease are all coming up to expose where you are not living in alignment. You are not honoring your body, your boundary, your soul's house. It is the barometer between you and your relationship to the world. And rather than trying to fix it or go into a story about the flu that you have, or the bug that you're trying to fix, or the sinus issues that you can't get rid of, how about slowing down to listen and saying, hey body, I'm not going to fight and fix you. I'm going to pay attention to what you're trying to tell me. Germanic New Medicine. There are resources all over the internet to give you a psychosomatic reading on what your body's trying to tell you. And if you trusted it and you took the initiative to take responsibility and not give that responsibility away and outside of you to an expert or authority, which will never ever be as wise as your own body wisdom, you will find your power returning. You will find spontaneous healing happening. You will find that your body can move through things that you never thought it could move through quite easily and without much struggle. Pain and discomfort are the result of resistance. Again, beautiful tool in freediving. The more you try to control and resist, the more oxygen, the more contracting, the more pain, the shorter the distance you go. When things arise and you relax and you relax and you become soft and supple and you almost like become the dancer in the water, suddenly, I literally had this experience today with no fins, which is my new favorite discipline, because it's just you, your body, and the movement of water that pushes you. And the longer you glide, the greater distance you get and the less you need to do to get there. It's just revelatory to feel this actual physical experience of what it means to be in flow, of what it means to do less and receive more, to feel trust in the magic of the body and the ability to move and glide through discomfort sometimes. Like, it can be uncomfortable. Fear, stories of, I may die. If this changes in my life, I may not be able to survive it. The mental chatter that comes up when we are in a process of transformation, which we're all in, a major death and rebirth, a major identity shift. I don't know about you, but everything's up in question. Who am I? What am I here to do? What do I actually want out of my life? If I really become a sovereign being and I am the sort of like captain of my ship, where am I going and what do I want? And that's a really scary thing when you get the opportunity to have that question asked by yourself. As some of you may know, I'm in a major career transition. I announced to a group of strangers, half of them friends, most of them didn't know, a very vulnerable admittance that I want to go into a new creative, artistic acting career. I want to really act. I've always been a bit of an actress and a drama queen. But in all honesty, it's one of the most vulnerable admittance to my inner child of like, if I could just follow my joy right now, what would I be doing? And that's performing, that's being on stage, that's developing characters, that's writing my screenplay, that's going underwater and competing in freediving competitions. And there's so much guilt wrapped up in that because I have been such an activist and being of service. And there's this sort of like spiritual conditioning that you need to serve in a certain way to be worthy. However, being in your brightest light and your truest expression is the greatest service. And sometimes that is being the, activist at the front line. Sometimes that's being the professional that's changing the laws. And sometimes that's being on stage and being silly and funny or deeply emotional and moving people to the depths of their grief or rage or realization. And whilst I will always be a mentor, which comes to my next thing, calling a few more clients in, whilst I'll always be that mirror for my sisters and for the spaces that I hold as a doula, as a facilitator, there is this other element of my own selfish, I would have thought of it as, but true yearning without shame or judgment. And so, what is the thing that you're almost embarrassed to admit you want to do and that really like lights up the inner child inside of you and just gets you up in the morning? And it's got nothing to do with anybody else but the pure bliss and energy that it elicits inside of you. And be brave and go for it, because what else are we here for?